As a number of you know, if you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, I went to Bosque Apache about 4 weeks ago and spent a week there just before Thanksgiving. Well, if some of you are interested in going there at that time to photograph the birds, the cranes and the geese and so on in the morning, you have to get out there before sunrise and get set up and ready. And it is very cold. My first morning there, it was 12 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 11 degrees, minus 11 degrees Celsius. So quite far below freezing, and there was a 10 to 15 knot wind blowing. And that will blow through just about anything if you don't have clothing to counter it. So that's a map there, just a map of Bosque Apache. And I'll show you now what I wore to protect myself against the cold and the wind. So undershirt, underpants, then I wore long john pants, long john top, warm hiking woolen socks. I wore these lightweight trousers that I bought a few pairs of those from REI, and a belt. Very nice trousers. They're thin, lightweight, and they don't stop the wind, but very nice to wear. So on top of the long johns. Then I wore a warm winter shirt, one of those. I didn't tuck it into the pants. I just left it overhanging the top of my trousers to make a nice layer. Then I wore my woolen fleece, or my fleece. And on top of the fleece, I wore this jacket. This is a very nice jacket I bought a few years ago. Not very expensive, but lightweight and pretty warm. It makes a very nice underlayer. I went up to Moab in 2019 to do some Milky Way photography, and the airline lost my luggage. So the first day and a half I had nothing. So I arrived late afternoon, and when my luggage didn't arrive, I managed to find a thrift store in town and bought this. It was used, but I had to have something, and it's turned out to be one of my favorite jackets for this sort of thing. Lightweight, thin, very warm. It's a forecast jacket. Then, to keep my head warm, I wore balaclava, but this balaclava I found to be a problem. The part that goes over your face, what I found when I wore this with that, it deflected my exhaling up into the viewfinder of my camera and caused my viewfinder to constantly mist up that I couldn't see what I was doing. So I basically scrapped using that, and I just wore this lightweight hat. Now there was a wind blowing too, remember? So to protect myself from the wind, to cover all of that, I took my ski suit. So this is wind and water resistant, and this works beautifully to protect you from wind. And the top. So with the wind and all these layers underneath, I was absolutely warm. My body, my legs, everything. For my hands, a couple of years ago, I bought these Valorette photography gloves, and I don't really like them. They are nice, they're well made, and they have this feature where when you put them on, there are magnets here that you can pull the tip back and expose it like that, so your fingers can feel your camera buttons, and the magnets are supposed to hold these back. Both gloves have that feature, but they do not fit well. I ordered them based on the size on their website, measuring my hand, but they're too tight. They don't, I do not like the shiny plastic texture that they have randomly scattered in the grip, because when you do that, it feels tacky, but I don't like the feel on my camera. And the tips of my fingers got extremely cold. So I basically scrapped using these after the first morning. I'm just not very happy with them and don't think they are that great and worth the money. In place of them, I used these gloves. I don't remember where I got these. Very lightweight, thin gloves with a nylon top that protects you from wind, and a kind of a suede type palm grip with a plasticky part there, and areas that for phones and things you can actually use your phone with them. So I used these every morning from then on, and they were far better. Having all of these layers like this as the day went on, because after sunrise and when it started warming up a little bit, getting closer to freezing, often by lunchtime we were still down at freezing, but I could take off some of these layers and take off the ski suit, take off maybe the jacket to keep myself from getting too hot. But if you're interested in going to Bosque Apache, this is what I wore. It worked for me. I met one or two other photographers out there. One in particular was freezing cold because he didn't seem to have many layers that he was wearing, and he was getting pretty cold. But another photographer I met, a friend, and we became friends up there and did a bit of photography together. He had gone there very often, and he was well prepared and was wearing a good selection of clothing to keep himself warm. So if you're interested, that's the sort of thing you probably need to invest in if you're wanting to go to Bosque Apache and try and photograph the migrating birds before and after Thanksgiving.